Buffs and badges. Detroit Love Triangle. In the streets of Detroit, loyalty is currency, love is dangerous, and the badge doesn't always make you bulletproof. This is the story of three people caught between two worlds. July in Detroit hits different. The sun doesn't just shine, it punishes. Car hoods hiss like angry snakes, and tempers run hotter than the concrete. On the east side, just past Chalmers and Mack, the block was alive. Kids running through busted sprinklers, speakers thumping T Grizzly and Payroll Giovanni. And Trey Martin, better known as Trigger, was back on the scene like he never left. Picture this, midnight blue Charger gleaming in the heat. Trey sitting on the hood like a king on his throne, buffs perched on his nose, eyes watching every corner like he owned the very air people breathed. His phone buzzed, then buzzed again. CeCe hadn't replied to his texts. "You seen CeCe?" he asked Dre, who was slouched on a crate sipping Faygo Red Pop. Dre shrugged. "She at school or something. Word is she messing with that cop now." Trey's smirk was razor sharp. "Oh, you mean Officer Quentin?" Little Q. "Man used to run from 12 with me, now he is 12. Meanwhile, across town at the 11th precinct, Marquise Q. Daniel stared at himself in the locker room mirror. Clean shave, new badge, vest fitting tight across his chest. But underneath it all, same Eastside scars, same blood in his veins, same block that raised him. "Yo, Q," Officer White called from their cruiser. "You good patrolling this zone? Word is, some of these boys know you." Q slid into the passenger seat. "That's why I am good. They know me. I ain't just a badge to them. I'm still me." But deep down, he knew the clock was ticking. The streets have long memories and short forgiveness. Trey's name had come up in 3 intel briefings that month, and each time it did, Q's chest got a little tighter. Now, let me tell you about CeCe Johnson. Nursing student by day, local celebrity by night. She had the kind of presence that made time slow down. Men didn't just want her, they studied her. She was coming out of Sinai Grace Hospital, scrubs clinging to her like a second skin, when that midnight blue Charger pulled up. Windows down, music humming low. "You still mad at me, baby girl?" he asked, stepping out. "I ain't got time to be mad. I got lives to save." "What about yours?" Trey stepped closer. "What'd he do for you that I didn't?" "He ain't got to do what you did, Trey." "That's the difference." He bit his lip. "He ain't built like us, Ma. He don't know you like I do." She climbed into her car, pausing only to say, "That's the point." Later that night, Q pulled up at her apartment. She let him in without a word. As he sat on her couch, the tension crackled like electricity. She didn't say she still loved Trey. She didn't have to. Q could feel it, like heat trapped between old brick. On her coffee table sat a prescription bottle, half full. Label peeled off. Q glanced at it. She noticed. "Pain meds. For my rotation. Sometimes I need to relax." He didn't press, but the way her hands trembled when she lit that blunt told him it wasn't just pain she was treating. Now enter Herb Williams, everything CeCe thought she wanted. College degree, clean nails, button-down shirts, and a voice that never rose above calm. She met him during a public health seminar at Wayne State. He'd driven in from Ann Arbor as a guest speaker. Something about the way he looked at her, like she was fascinating rather than familiar, hooked her fast. With Herb, she felt different, elevated, seen. He took her to rooftop bars in Midtown, wine tastings in Birmingham. He texted good morning with coffee recommendations. He smelled like cedar and ambition. But Herb had grown up cushioned, warned. His frat brothers used to joke, "Don't mess with around the way girls from the D. They'll have your car stolen and your heart broken." Which is exactly why he couldn't resist her. Their chemistry was electric. But while CeCe imagined moving into a condo, finally putting her demons to rest, Herb saw her as a final rebellion before law school. Something wild and beautiful to remember when he was old and safe. He'd never say it, but he'd never stay either. And deep down, CeCe knew it, which made her crave him more. A stash house got hit in Southwest. Security cameras caught a blue Charger peeling off. Q didn't need plate numbers. He knew. He sat at his precinct desk, staring at that screen. "Daniels, we flagging this one?" Q didn't answer right away. "Nah," he said finally. "False match. Probably an older model." That night, he drove to the old block. Trey was already there, leaned against the Charger, buffs off, eyes steady as steel. They didn't speak at first. The silence was louder than sirens. "Was it you, cuz?" Q finally asked. "Does it matter? You already chose your side." "I didn't choose sides, fam. I chose survival." Trey chuckled, but there was no humor in it. Survival's a game for people who can afford to lose. It started with a flick. Trey was scrolling Instagram late, half-baked and restless when he saw it. CeCe smiling in Herb's arms, rooftop skyline behind them. No tag, no caption, just vibes. He zoomed in on Herb's hand around her waist. Clean fingernails. Watch that cost more than Trey's entire whip. Next came the text from Dre. "What up, doe? That girl of yours was just at that new wine bar on Woodward with some square and a Tesla." Trey showed up the next day, unannounced. She opened the door half-dressed, hair in a bun, panic in her eyes. "You really out here with Herb Williams, ma?" She didn't answer fast enough. "That the type you want now? Buttoned-up boys who ain't seen a struggle day in their life?" "He listens. He doesn't treat me like I'm broken. He doesn't even see you, shorty. He sees a thrill. You his final semester fling before he goes back to his real life." "He makes me feel safe," she whispered. Trey laughed, bitter as winter. "You ever ask yourself, baby girl, why you need to feel safe?" He didn't wait for an answer. He turned and walked away. But something cracked behind his eyes. This wasn't just love anymore. This was war. 2 weeks passed. Herb was still texting every morning, still showing up with fancy coffee and curated playlists. But the novelty was fading. Picture this. Trendy brunch spot on the Woodward. CeCe sitting across from Herb, his arm casually draped over his chair while he scrolled his phone. "Herb," she said, voice steady. "What we is?" He looked up, eyebrow raised like he hadn't expected the question. "We vibing, enjoying each other, right? Is this just fun to you?" He leaned back, sensing the shift. "I mean, yeah, ain't it fun? I'm not a vacation, Herb. I'm not some detour before law school." He tried to laugh it off. "Come on, CeCe, don't make this a thing. I like you, all right? But I'm not trying to settle down in the D." There it was, real talk. She stood, grabbed her purse, dropped a 20 on the table. "Thanks for being honest. You ever wonder why around the way girls like me don't trust dudes like you?" In the Uber home, she pulled out her pill bottle, thumbed it, stared, then shoved it back in her bag. She didn't cry. She just felt hollow. And in that hollow space, Trey's voice echoed louder than ever. "You ever ask yourself why you need to feel safe?" Now, Herb Williams wasn't used to being the one left behind, especially not by an around-the-way girl from a zip code his parents had warned him about. He watched CeCe storm off that day, but it wasn't until his Uber ride home that something shifted in him. Something bruised and vengeful. The next day, he was back at his office suite in Royal Oak, staring at her Instagram, then Trey's. He put 2 and 2 together quickly. The Charger. The block. The rumors that she used to mess with someone hood famous. Herb wasn't no doughboy, but he knew how to play chess and polish shoes. He made calls to Wayne State alums in city planning, reached out to his uncle, a banker with ties to developers and police donors. He didn't say Trey's name. He just described a situation, a possible threat to an up-and-coming healthcare student he'd been mentoring. By Friday, a confidential tip made its way to narcotics. By Monday, Q was called into the captain's office about renewed interest in a local charger connected to some work. Herb didn't need to swing fists. He had leverage. After all, he reasoned, and can't have someone like her slipping back into the gutter. Trey felt it before he saw it. The air on the block was different, tight, suspicious. Neighbors who used to wave now gave him the kind of nods that came with caution. "What up, though?" Trey muttered, pacing nervous. "That unmarked whip done rolled by 3 times this week. Ain't even low-key with it no more." "They fishing, fam. Somebody out there gave them bait." "You think it's Q?" "Nah, cuz Q doesn't move like that. He'd walk up, no uniform, say it to my face. This feel different. This some suit and tie shit." That night, Trey drove the Charger out to Rouge Park, cleaned it out, ditched a burner phone and some work he'd meant to move, even ran it through a car wash on Jefferson. But paranoia doesn't come off with soap and water. Trey showed him the phone. Herb Williams, clean cut, college boy, smiling like a man who never had to fight for air. Real estate family, lawyer in the making, but peep where he'd been donating, police foundations, redevelopment boards, all up in Eastside property grabs. Rich boy wanna play gangster from the suburbs? He doesn't know what he started, fam. Trey pulled his hoodie over his head. The Buffs were back on her. Game on. CeCe wasn't even looking for him that night. She just wanted to dance, to forget. Her girls had dragged her to one of those downtown rooftop lounges. Neon lights, overpriced drinks, DJ playing straight fire. She saw him across the room. Herb, tall, polished, unbothered, standing with suits and skinny ties in the VIP section. Her stomach flipped. 2 nights ago, they were tangled in silk sheets, limbs locked like scripture. He'd whispered about fate, about passion, about how he'd never met anyone like her. But now he looked right through her. She raised her hand, hesitant wave, half-hopeful smile. His eyes met hers, and then slid right past her like she was just noise in the room. He didn't nod, didn't blink, didn't flinch, just turned to the blonde in the blazer next to him and poured her Prosecco. CeCe's heart sank into her heels. She stepped out to the balcony, cool air hitting her hot face. The city lights of the D stretched out like promises she could never quite cash. She thought about texting Trey, then thought better of it, then opened her phone anyway. Trey was in the garage working on the Charger when his phone buzzed. "You up?" Simple, loaded. He stared at the screen for 30 seconds, then typed, "Always, Ma." 10 minutes later, headlights pulled up, no music, no dramatics. She walked in without knocking, hoodie up, eyes tired but fierce. They stood there, saying nothing, the silence stretching like a rubber band. "You good, baby girl?" Trey finally asked. She nodded, then shook her head. "No, I'm not. I don't need saving, Trey. I just needed somewhere real tonight." He played me like I was some experiment. You was right. Trey didn't smirk, didn't gloat. He just studied her, quiet. "You remember when we used to sit on the hood and talk about getting out the D?" she asked. "I remember thinking we never would, shorty. I'm scared I already did, and it's worse out there than it is here." He pulled her in slow, arms wrapping around her like armor. This time, she didn't pull away. Herb found out the next morning, anonymous DM, screenshot of CeCe outside Trey's garage, hood up, eyes raw. She went back to him? The same dope boy he just put pressure on through police whispers. He felt disrespected, worse, outplayed. By noon, He was pacing his glass office, ignoring calls from his father's law firm. Then he picked up a burner phone. "Yeah, I need a cleanup. Soft hit. Just rattle the cage. Property damage. Make him feel it." That night, Trey's Charger was found keyed and spray painted, tires slashed clean. In the back window, in red letters, "Stay in your lane." Trey saw it at dawn. Didn't say a word. Just stood there, fists clenched, eyes cold as winter. Dre whistled low. "This some fed-up rich boy energy right here, fam." Trey nodded slowly. Time to teach him what lane he really in.